lovely friend Melanie Masson. Hi, Melanie.
Hello, darling.
Thank you so much for agreeing to speak to me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Now, a lot of people know you from The X Factor, but I want to say about Melanie, there is so much more to you. It almost sort of belittles you just to put you in that category, but I have to start with The X Factor because I mean, it's been part of our lives for years, and we always know about the stories when people are brought forward, but I'm more interested in how it really operates as a machine. How did you get involved with The X Factor?
Well, I mean, it was a show that I always liked. I always enjoyed it, and I always kind of, I suppose, in the back of my mind, I always thought, oh, I wonder what would happen if I ever went on the show. But I've had, as we all have, I had quite a long career. You know, my family are in show business, for want of a better phrase. I was typical kind of born in a trunk kid, so like my mum, my dad, my stepdad, my biological dad, like grandpa, everybody was in the business. So I didn't think, I think because I had done so much professionally and been really fortunate with just, you know, like a jobbing performer, actor, singer, whatever, I thought it's probably not for me. But then The Voice happened, and The X Factor, there was a lot of comparisons between the people on The Voice to the people auditioning The X Factor, and they were saying that you know, they rely less on the kind of backstory and everything. Anyway, to cut a long story short, X Factor decided that year they were going to have like a lot of professionals in, just to kind of raise the bar a little bit.
Ah, I didn't know that.
So I mean I didn't know that either at the time, but it was a really good friend of mine said to me, would you be interested? Can I send some music to one of the producers? And I said, yeah, all right then. So then they asked me to come in and meet them. So I didn't have to do the big kind of like, you know, that big massive, like the huge queues, which do happen.
Yeah.
But it's no secret that they do have talent scouts.
Right.
You can do more, you can send in your music and then skip a few auditions.
Ah, right.
So anyone can audition, whether you've had lots of experience or not. But so myself and most of my year, to be honest, were all at this audition at TV Centre.
Right.
And we just had to go in and sing.
Were you nervous?
And, well, do you know what, I wasn't really, because I just thought, this is not really for me, this is for, because at that time I didn't really know that there was a lot of kind of professionals get involved in it that have had careers and had tours and had record deals and all that kind of thing. So I was just thinking, I'm probably not going to do this. And also I'd taken, the kids were really young then, they were only 3 and 5. So, and I'd kind of taken you know, the past 4 years out of doing anything. So I felt I was just, the only thing I was doing was a little under 5s class where I dressed up as a fairy.
Right.
Just to kind of, and I did things where I could take the kids, like if I had any session work or gigs or anything, but I didn't want to be apart from the kids. So I kind of felt a little bit removed from it all.
Do you think that's good though, because you weren't really that?
I think it was, because my priorities had changed so much, as they do when you have children, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was quite career driven and really ambitious. Not that I'm not now, but before children, it was all about, you know, the work, the career, the next job, the records, the promotion, the stage, you know. And then you have these little bundles, and it just all becomes about them, and all of that kind of like hard driven ambition just turned into, you know, love for them. And you know, so I think it wasn't that important to me at that time, because they always came first. So I then got the phone call, and see that I came home to my husband after that audition and went, I made a big mistake here, they're going to ask me to do the show. He went, why? And I told him about being a fairy. So I told them, I gave them my whole bio, because I thought, I'm not hiding anything, I want to be completely honest, this is what I've done. I've done West End shows, I've done, you know, I've been signed, I've had records out, I've sung in a few kind of, hits, I suppose you'd say, like blah 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 featuring, that sort of thing, dancing. I've done quite a lot of panto with your other half. I've done West End, all of that, tours, TV. I've been lucky, done a lot of stuff, made a living. Made a living.
Which I have to say, in itself, in show business, just to make a living is fantastic.
I actually think that's my biggest professional achievement, is that I managed to sustain a living and keep going in this industry. So I had told them all that, but I'd also said, they said, what are you doing now? I said, well, I'm doing this under fives class. I do it as a fairy, it's a character, and Forbes, my husband, just went, oh no.
Yes.
Anyway, they phoned me and said, do you want to come and sing for the judges? We'd love you to sing for the judges. And I literally went, oh. That was my response. And the lovely lady on the other end, this girl Kira, who was so sweet, and who was on the show with me actually, she was so excited, well, we'd love you to sing for the judges, that's brilliant, isn't it? Would you like to do it? And I felt like I really burst her bubble, because I'm sure she phoned loads of people that day and they all went, Mum, guess what? And I'm just like, oh. And she said, that's an unusual response to me. And I went, look, I'm really sorry, I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but I've had a career. I do one day want to go back to it, and I'm just worried that I've done a lot. I've read your CV, I know what you've done, don't worry about it. The other people that are involved have all done shows, they've had record deals. So that kind of put me at ease a little bit. I thought, oh, well, it's not, because I don't want to be deceptive and pretend that I've only ever sung in the shower, and when I've had this long, I've worked with Pink and the Stereophonics and Clang, name drop there. So, but I wanted to be honest. Anyway, so I took the kids up. Forbes was working away, so I got on the train up to Glasgow, and no, that's the reflexes. So he's going to bark at something. He's such a nervous little doggy, and I have to just keep him cuddly. He's okay. Good boy. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Oh, my fur baby, where are you going? He's going to bark at the window. Yes. So, quick doggy break, because he wants to bark at the post lady, but we're all good. So, went to the audition. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. So, I was supposed to audition in London, because I live in London, but I'm from Glasgow. But the day of my audition, I had a really, really bad virus, non-COVID related. This was 2012, I think.
Yeah.
And I couldn't speak. So, they said, okay, well, let's see where else. The only places left were, funnily enough, Glasgow. They said, well, you're from Glasgow. Right. You'll have a connection, with Glasgow. So I went there, so I had family and friends came along. And it was amazing. It was just an amazing experience. It was just...
you blew them away, didn't you?
It was... There was a bit of a hiccup when I went on stage, because they played the wrong track. And you do all the pre-interviews. I mean, it's quite a long wait. They didn't make me wait too long. They were really, really lovely with me, because I had 2 young kids. Yeah. And so it wasn't hours. And also, you've gone through X amount of stages, or other people have. So it was a few hours wait. It wasn't too bad. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever done, I have to say. So
were you really, did you find the longer you were there, the more nervous you were getting? Or, I know you had your 2 little kids with you, so obviously that's going to take your mind off of it. But do you think that, of all the things that you've ever done, the fact also waiting around, it was more nerve-wracking?
I think the whole experience was just really surreal, because there's always a part of you as you're waiting going, should I be doing this? If this goes really badly, or they portray me in not a very, they've got some kind of idea of what I am, or what they want to portray me as, is this going to harm my career in the future? But there was also, I had my lovely, lovely friends and family with me as well, and they're so supportive. So that's Andrew, Nikki, Caitlin, Dylan, Mark.
You know who you are.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
And they're always so cheering me on and so proud of me. And there's also part of me going, I've always wondered what would happen if I sang on the show.
Right.
I've always wondered what a voice like mine would do on that show. Would it work? Would it sit? There's nobody done a lot of that kind of big soul blues thing. So I wasn't sure how, I don't know, it was so very mixed. It was just this is mental. This Gary Barlow, who was there that time? Nicole Scherzinger was off, so Anastasia stepped in to Lisa and Louis Walsh.
Oh, listen to you.
Plus,
Anastasia stepped in. Well, that was handy, wasn't it? She
my,
just
my
round the
pal,
corner.
My pal Anastasia, yeah, she got a day off work. She was down to Chippy and she got a day off work. And the SECC.
Can I just ask, I've often wondered what it feels like when they call your name and they say, right, you're next, Melanie, you're up. What was going through your head?
It was just very surreal. It didn't feel real because you see the kind of X and the X Factor thing, and also it was at the SECC, which was full, and also the fact that it was Glasgow was really lovely because it's my hometown.
Right.
I don't know. It was just really weird. It's really hard to explain. But I knew the minute I got on there and said hello and I'm Melanie, and the producer, funny enough though, as I was waiting in the wings to go on, one of the producers came up to me and said, oh, by the way, when they talk to you, don't tell them what you've done. Don't tell them what you've done professionally, because the audience will turn against you. Oh. Just say you're a fairy.
Oh, which is...
And I was a bit like, oh, okay, all right. And then they said, and what do you do? And I went, I'm a fairy. And then they cut to them going,
yeah.
The drama of it. And then they played the wrong track, because you've got to give them a choice of 4 songs.
Right.
So mine was the Janis Joplin song Cry Baby.
Yeah.
But they played my second song, and I had to go, I'm really sorry. I had to stop it and say, I'm really sorry, that's the wrong song.
So is that all contrived, do you think?
No, I think that was just a mistake.
Oh, right.
Because they didn't show that. They didn't show any of that.
Right.
So then I had to go off after that big thing, and then Dermot's going, it's okay, don't worry, and somebody else went on. Oh. And then they had to come back to me and say, okay, we're ready now.
Oh.
But by that point, I was kind of like, I just want to show you what I can do. I'm ready. Do you know? I was kind of like fight or flight, and I was like, I really want to do this now. And it was amazing. It was just went down so well, and it just, then when the show aired, it just, life went completely crazy overnight, because I was the end slot, so that's the kind of the big push at the end, and they showed the whole story and everything else, and then I got asked to do all the TVs on the Monday.
Right.
So I thought, oh well, they must like me, but you still don't know. They don't know, because sometimes they big someone up right to the very end, and then you get to judges' houses and they go, sorry.
Yeah.
So you still
don't. Well, it was huge. I mean, it was over 3 million hits. Is it more now? Your Janis Joplin Cry Baby.
Yeah, but that was at the height of the viewing figures as well, wasn't it? It was
because that power, how the voice, the power behind your voice, and the judges' faces when you started to sing, because you started with that power voice. You didn't sort of even build to it.
Well, I just thought if they cut me off, at least I'll get a good note in.
Yeah.
I thought I'll just hit them straight away.
What did Gary Barlow say? That's insane.
I can't remember.
Did he?
Did he? It's been so long since I've actually seen it, because I still.
That's insane.
I still get the nerves. In fact, if I hear that X Factor music.
Do you?
Yeah. My stomach just flips. I just go. Get the fear.
So, you were in the over 28s category.
Yes.
How did you feel when they were starting to write about you and say, oh, but it's not fair, Melanie's a professional singer, she's not a children's entertainer. I mean, how did you feel about that? Because you told them.
Yeah. Well, I felt it was, they do it every year with X Factor, but at the time when you're in it felt massive. Now, I actually felt very upset when the story broke, because I got a call from X Factor press office on I think it was it must have been the Sunday that it was coming out on the Monday, and I think it was the Sun. Right. Oh, hi Melanie, I just let you know the Sun are running a story on you. I went, oh, okay, great, what is it? Yeah, they're going to print your entire CV and say that you deceived the judges and the producers and told them that you weren't. I went, oh yeah, but that's not true. They want to do an interview. Well, I'd love to do the interview to set them straight. Nah, we'll just give them a written statement. So, I mean, all the way down the line, I always was extremely honest. Even in interviews, I used to make notes of what I wanted to include and just have it by my side, because I didn't really then know.
Right.
And I didn't want someone to come back and like bite me. But it was kind of edited out. And I mean, the story when you watch it is amazing. And it was true at that moment in time. All I was doing was, I was a full-time stay-at-home mum, did a bit of session work, took the kids did my fairy flutterby class for the kids. So at that moment in time, that was accurate.
That was accurate, but did you feel let down that they didn't sort of, I mean, I know that they're a machine, so they have to run it as they run it. So I can see from their point of view, but at the same time, did you, because you're under their care, you should be, did you feel let down by them? Not being a little bit more protective?
Yeah, I suppose I felt, I just wanted to get my side across, and I think being more kind of social media savvy now, I would have addressed it straight away on Twitter. But Gary Barlow had said he was trying to protect us all, and he said, if I was you, I'd keep away from social media, don't go on Twitter, don't go. So I actually posted very little, and it was really lovely of him, you know, because he was really looking out for us. I think in hindsight, I probably would get much more involved now. And I would say, this is bollocks, basically. This is absolute rubbish. You know, I never deceived anyone, don't call me a liar. You know, I'd come out fighting, which I think would probably be a good thing to do. I mean, there was a statement that we wrote together saying, I've always been honest, and then I think X Factor said the X Factor is open to anybody. But I think, you know, every year that happens, whether or not it is the person not disclosing everything, or whether it's just not fitted into that particular storyline.
Yeah, and it is, it has its own life, doesn't it? It takes on its own form. So what was Gary Barlow like as a mentor, but also it sounds like, did he become a friend? Can I say that?
Yeah, well, he's really lovely actually. He's very funny. He's really droll. He's got that really wicked, dry sense of humour. You know, I mean, and he talks like that most of the time, you know, it's like that, you know, and this, that, and that.
Does it ever go up a bit and then down a bit, or does
it does when he sings?
Is it just there? Is it just...
Well, I've got one of my best friends is from Manchester, and you know, so I've got a lot of love for Mancunians, but it's just the delivery, because it's such a that's him now texting me.
No, I could have been texting me. I just didn't want to say, put you out or anything.
You leave my Gary alone. It's just the delivery, because it's quite deadpan, and then he says something and it's so funny. I mean, he's told me a few stories that he took us all out for dinner. His category. I mean, he was really lovely, and he really did his best. He cared, and he was always contributing and always messaging. And I remember when I got into the finals, and I was on that couch actually, and I got an email, and I said to Forbes, oh my God, I just got an email from Gary Barlow, and he's given us his number and stuff, and I was like, this is just so ridiculous. It's so funny. And
which I will get later, of course. Thank you, because we're friends.
The things like we were doing, because it goes from 0 to like 100 million miles an hour in X Factor, and we were doing this big, massive, like the photo shoot, you know, for your X Factor photos. And I didn't have my phone on me because I was doing the shoot, and one of the production came up to me and went, Gary's been trying to get you for ages, Gary Barlow. And I was like, God, that's
just happened.
So random. And I phoned him back, and he went, oh, can you come to my studio now? I've got an idea for your first song. Can you come over? I'll mock up a backing track. And I couldn't go because we were doing this thing, but I was just like, my God, how my life has changed in, like, you know.
Like, that's so surreal though, isn't it? Because suddenly you're in this world, this completely different world, and you go home to 2 small children, and then it's like, Gary, I can't, like, look, they want spaghetti tonight, I'm busy. I mean, it's just all bizarre.
So it is bizarre. I mean,
I'm just thinking, you're saying that he was really, you know, a good mentor, and he really cared and all the rest of it, but do you feel that you're all given equal time, or the whole group? I mean, how does he split the time between you all?
Yeah, well, that's all kind of managed by production. I mean, we get X amount of time. Monday was always the time. So you've got the live show on the Saturday where you've been working on one song, and then the Monday is for the next week. So you're always working a week ahead. So that's all kind of managed by that. It's really got little to do with him, but you know, what he does is afterwards, and you know, he was always kind of available. Like, you know, if you had a worry about something, or you weren't sure about a song or a key or an ending, you know, there was a, you know, a query about something, then he gets back straight away. I mean, he was great, and you know.
For your first live show, can I ask?
Yes.
How
I loved that. That was my favourite.
Were you relaxed at that point? Were you really into the show and how it worked, and were you really prepared and ready for you?
That was my favourite. I loved the song. I loved what they did. They really took on board what I like. You know, that whole hippie thing. They had backing singers that looked like they'd come from Woodstock or something, and it was because I'd said it was Brian Friedman who was a choreographer, and he kind of staged it.
Because he was
lovely.
Britney Spears
he's
choreographer.
Oh my god, he's done everyone's.
It's like we're clanging away here, name dropping, but
clang.
How
I know.
fantastic.
I loved him. I got on so well with him, and he was absolutely brilliant, and he really listened to the fact that I liked things being a bit more organic, like with a band, and I didn't want it, you know. So that first week, he really put that together, got, you know, like a band situation. I was on this kind of podium thing, and the backing singers, that for me was just, I loved it. I loved my outfit, I loved the song, Gary really, because I'd given him a list of songs that I really like. Now I hadn't sung that one before, it was Get By With a Little Help from My Friends, but the Joe Cocker version that he did in Woodstock. So I was on round about 4th, and you know, so I was kind of with and they run the VT of what they've done, you know, what you've done, like the rehearsals and how your week was, your first week leading up to the live show. And I thought the producer did such a lovely thing, because they were really nice to me, they were really lovely. As I walked on stage, like the audience, and you kind of forget that you're going out to millions of people, because the TV studio, Fountain Studios, is quite small. I don't know if you've been there. It's quite a small setup. It looks massive on TV, but it's not that big an audience. But it was dark, and then when I got on the podium just before the music started, they got a spotlight on my friends and family.
Oh, how fantastic.
And the kids were in the audience, because kids aren't allowed to be in the audience if they're under 14. But they obviously allowed them in, because they were only 3 and 5 for that one show. Yeah. And they just hit a spotlight on it, and I just went, and I was like, right, okay, I'm good to go. And I was really looking forward to doing it. I was really looking forward to singing that song. So, yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. Loved it. And then again, I mean, I've been in the business, as you know, as you guys have, most of my life, but even I found that an incredibly amazing but full-on experience. I can't imagine how somebody who's never really done anything professionally copes with everything that's going on, because you're always got to be pretty much camera ready. I mean, if you're not doing X Factor, you're filming for the Extra Factor, or you're doing all these mad shows like Steve Wright. We did Steve Wright in the afternoon, we did This Morning, Lorraine, everything you can think of, you're on this kind of thing. It does open doors, and it does give you amazing opportunities. You just got to see it for what it was. I never went into the show thinking I wanted to win it, and I don't think it would have been right for me to win it, really.
So when you were at the second live, and you didn't go through, did you have a sense that you weren't going to get past that stage on that night?
Do you know what, I did, but not only that night, that week something felt like it had shifted.
Right.
And I think part of that is, I haven't seen a lot of people do this kind of things. You know, the people that tend to do well on the shows, I think there's a particular sound, or, you know, music. I think the kind of what I was doing was fairly niche, you know, that kind of bluesy soul kind of thing. Yeah. And I don't think that translates so well on that particular platform. Right. But it did give me a lot of opportunities. It gave me a really lovely fan base, and opened doors for so much. That so much good came out of doing that, considering I was really quite hesitant and worried about it. Yeah. It was absolutely brilliant. I'm still in touch with a lot of the producers and a lot of people on it who were really, really lovely to me. My experience, I don't know if that's everyone's experience, but
because you were on with Rylan, weren't you?
Oh yeah, so my year was unbelievable. I mean, if you think about it, it was a hard year to like work with in terms of going through. Oh my god, Rylan. I love Rylan. everyone in my year was amazing. So
Right.
my year, right, definitely the best. Classic X Factor year, right? I had no hope when you think about it. Ella Henderson, excuse me, James Arthur won it.
Yes. James Arthur.
Rylan, Lucy Spraggan,
Oh yes.
Union J, who else?
What
Who
happened to
else?
them? What happened to Union J?
They're still going. Well, they're still going, but they're
Right.
doing a lot of successful things individually as well. Like Josh is modelling. Josh looks amazing, and his beautiful wife, and they're all doing their own thing successfully. George was on I'm a Celebrity.
Oh,
No. Yes, he was. He was. Who else? Chris Maloney's doing really well. There's
big year.
who else? Oh, Carolyn. Well, she was called Carolyn Poole, but she's now got married and she's now Carolyn Willie.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And she's got 2 lovely babies now as well.
We
And
take
she's
that
married
out. We take that out, yeah.
What, take the Willie out?
Oh, wow, you know.
So, and he's, I can't remember his name, but he's a really famous like rugby player, and
So you had a big
Oh
year.
my God.
Because you know some years you don't remember anybody, do you? I mean, you know, there are years with the X Factor.
Well, we were all
that-
together in the WhatsApp group. And we did a Zoom in 2020,
Right.
and we speak, you know, quite often on the WhatsApp, and it's like group therapy because everyone talks about their experience, and
Yeah.
everyone had a different experience on the show.
I bet.
And it's kind of one of these things that I think you can only fully really appreciate or understand if you've been in that environment, because it is
Yeah.
reality TV,
Yeah.
which is a whole thing in itself. But
Was it a downer when it was? I mean, I know you went on to do many things afterwards, but was there a part of you, because you've been, you know, you're going 100 miles an hour, like you say, you're in a hotel, your day's starting ready for 6 o'clock, and you're always camera ready. So when that moment it's over, that part of it is over, should I say, and then you can come home and you can, I mean, or did you go straight into interviews to talk about
Yes.
your experiences?
Yeah, you do
So
that
you
straight
weren't,
away.
right.
So yeah, it would have been the Monday, and then you're taking around all these places
Right.
again, like Lorraine and This Morning and blah blah blah.
And did she say, oh,
Oh, you were great. You were great. Yeah. But it was lovely. It was lovely. Well, it was really mixed feelings because boot camp, which was in Liverpool this year, was the first time I'd been away from my kids.
Right.
At all. And they were 3 and 5, so it's the first time. So I was really emotional about that. And I always said I would never cry on TV. I'd never cry on TV.
Right.
And they used to say things like, is this your last chance? Is this your last chance? Your career and stuff. And I'd be like, no.
Well, I'm not
Because that didn't. No, because I don't believe anything is ever your last chance. You've got breath in your body and a will to do it. Then why is it your last chance?
Yeah.
So they could never get me on that. But then they discovered, they would say, is this the first time you're away from your kids? They must miss you.
Clever.
They must miss you. And I would go, ah! And I remember at boot camp, I did an interview with them and they did that.
And did you have?
It must be terrible for your kids. And they said that and I literally went, you bastards! Like that, which they cut that out.
Because you know when you're at home watching this and people break down, you sit there with your Chris going, oh, I'd never do that.
Yes.
I'd never do that.
That was me.
Yeah.
Why are they crying for? They're only singing the song.
Yeah.
They're only singing the song. For God's sake, get a grip. I'll never cry.
And then you are that person.
Then you're that person. But you know, it's you don't get much chance to eat. You get no sleep. They're throwing boot camp and all those other things.
Yeah.
They're getting songs thrown at you that you've got to learn and perform in front of a massive audience, in front of judges and everything. You've learned it 5 minutes before, and then they change it, and then so there's a lot of stuff going on. Plus, but it was so funny, Ella Henderson, right? So I was doing this interview with the producers and the whole thing, and I sobbed my entire way through it, and I came out of the interview and my eyes were swollen and red and blotchy, and I was about to sing, and I came out and Ella Henderson went, she was hot. She was like 16 at the time. She was hot. She was just like, what did they do to you in there? I was like, I'm not going in. I was terrified. She's like, she was brilliant. She was so mature though. She really, she was so down to earth. But no, and honestly, I think for talent.
Yeah, best.
Fantastic year. And songwriters as well. That was really. Lucy was allowed to sing her own songs, which is the first time anyone had ever done that on a reality show before.
Did they look after you then when
Oh, when the show ended?
Yeah, when the show ended, were you sort of left flailing, or did they look after you, sign you? What did they do?
Well, you start off signed, so you have to sign. You sign a deal with Psycho straight away.
Right.
And you sign a management contract.
Right.
So after the show, after your time is up on the show, things still continue, but you then, for a very short time, you're incredibly famous. Because at that point it was a really big show. So I mean, and I think like the big hair and everything, I couldn't walk down the street without being stopped. I was wearing like a scarf on the tube because, you know, you're not being paid to do it.
Yeah.
And Forbes had to give up work to look after the kids because, you know, so you know, it was you're like, I had to work quickly.
Yeah.
So luckily, you know, you're very busy, you've got gigs and shows and loads of things going on. A lot of kind of press events and all the red carpet stuff.
Yeah.
So you're still contracted to the show really for that year.
Right.
So you're still doing things representing the show.
Right.
So you're still really busy. It is still pretty non-stop. I mean, there was mixed feelings about, that's my dog, trying to get in, scratching at the door. There's still, you know, you're still busy. I had mixed feelings, which was that I was partly relieved in a way when they called my name. Right. There's a part of like, yeah, I think that.
Were you ready?
Partly ready because I think after my first audition in Scotland, I think that would have been okay. You know, after that aired, life changed massively anyway. So, you know, everything else was cherry on top. But that for me was like the pinnacle. That was such a brilliant moment for me.
Being at home, being in your home.
But and being my hometown, yeah. But I think when they said my name, there was a part of me going, oh, I don't have to go do all this again. I can get back home. And it was I was overnight in the hotel, and then the next night I came home, and I remember just being in bed, our big bed with the kids, and just like, oh, this is brilliant. Yeah. But there was also a part of me like, I wanted to show more because there's different categories every week. Right. And my third week was going to be Ride on Time because it was dance week. It was like dance music week.
Yes.
And Gary and I had worked on this, and the music supervisor, this brilliant version of Ride on Time. And it was so, it's like, you know, whoa! Like it was all that, like, Ride on Time! And it was like so full on. And everyone was buzzing about it, and we were all jumping about and laughing, going, oh my God. And Gary's like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. It's like, well, no one's sung this before, no one's sung it like that. And you know, it was like, so I was really disappointed I didn't get to sing it.
That voice that comes out, you don't even need a warm-up, do you? That is unbelievable.
It's a bit croaky. But yeah, so that was, and I wanted to, and then there was like big band week, and there was all like the different categories, and you just go, oh, that would have been really fun to do that. So it was kind of mixed, but...
So if you weigh it up though, there's part of you thinks I don't have to be full on with all of this, but the other part wants to experience all of the other things.
Well, yeah, just to really show what else I could do, because I think that was just you know, a little snapshot. Yeah. And it would have been good to do like musical theatre week, or, you know, and sing something really different, or, you know. But so it's show for more versatility, I think.
But having said that, it did, in a way, it did its job. It did a job for you because it promoted you, got you out there so everyone could see your talent.
That's right.
Rusty's got a chew. I know. I'm almost done. So
I'm not throwing it to you. Sorry, what he wants me to do, get that, you know, like I say, my dog is my third child. He wants me now to throw a chew at him, because he doesn't eat it like a normal dog, you know. He won't just take a chew. I have to throw it to him several times. It's a part of the game I don't quite understand, that he's invented, that I never get right. He looks at me like, that's not how we play it.
It's not happy. I think you need to throw
Rusty, can you bring it here? Can you bring it here? I'm not going to you. I'm not going to you. I'm going to you. Okay.
Yeah, you are.
I'm going to you.
Well, that would tell them, wouldn't it?
All right, okay. Right, come on.
Follow through. That's what I say. Follow through.
Sorry, yes, I do spoil him. Absolutely.
That's like with children. I always say to my daughter, oh, well, I'm not doing it again, and I'm not doing it. Well, just one more time then. Following through.
That's what makes us good mums. You can catch it, but don't go away with it. You have to just eat it, okay? Okay, catch it. Yes!
Oh, well done.
I'm not doing it again.